Welcome back to the Puddin' Creek Rod Shop. Today you find me finishing up my morning coffee and flipping through the pages of the 1976 issue of Hot Rod Show World. Now, as I sit here reminiscing over all the old ads that I remember seeing in the magazines from when I was just a kid, I flip the page and there is the Bad Coupe. It's really a surreal experience to be looking at this magazine and see the Bad Coupe in all its glory, set up in full show car trim on a show car display in 1976, and then to swivel around and see the exact same car sitting right here in East Tennessee in the Puddin' Creek Rod Shop 49 years later. Now, if you remember the last time we worked on the Bad Coupe, we found that one cylinder had absolutely no compression. Now, that'll never do. After I finished that last video, I went ahead and did a leak down test on that one cylinder. I jogged the crankshaft around until both valves were closed, and then I put about 100 pounds air pressure on the combustion chamber. And what did I find? Oh man, all the air was leaking out of the intake manifold. That told me I've got a problem with the intake valve. So I went ahead and loosened the rocker arms on both valves just to make sure that there was no chance that the valves were just adjusted wrong and maybe it was holding the intake valve open a little bit. Then I hit that combustion chamber with 100 pounds of air pressure again, and what do you know? It's still leaking like a sieve. Now you also remember, a few videos back, the little woman and I, we removed the seats from the Bad Coupe to get them out of the way and get the carpet out of it. And we set them right here in the center of the shop floor, where they've sat for some time. I needed to get the seats out of the way, out of the center of the floor, so I picked them up and I moved them over here on this plastic pallet against the wall so they would be out of the way. But when I picked one of them up, I heard something fall and kind of tinkle against the concrete. Sound like a big flat washer maybe hitting the concrete. But when I walked back over to pick up the washer, it wasn't a washer at all. It was this old dash plaque. Evidently, John Lackner, the original owner and builder of this car, had driven it to the Street Rod Nationals East in Maryland, and it got a dash plaque, and like all of us would do, he probably just laid it in the passenger seat. And on the way back, it must have worked its way down in between the seat cushions or down underneath the seat, and he either couldn't get to it to retrieve it or just forgot all about it. I'm telling you what, taking these old hot rods apart is just about like being an archaeologist, except you don't wear the funny hat. Now, I've been super busy on other projects for a couple of weeks and haven't had time to touch the Bad Coupe. And in the meantime, I got on Amazon and I ordered this Chinese contraption here. Now, I've had 114 jobs in the past that I wished I had some kind of a Borescope that I could look down inside of an engine or look down inside of a box frame rail on a 32 Ford or look down inside a gas tank on a Model A. There's just all kinds of opportunities to use a borescope. I mean, there's only so much you can do with a flashlight and an inspection mirror. Now, the reason I've never bought one is I thought, wow, a Borescope, that's probably $1,200 or $1,500. But I get on Amazon and they're only like $100. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, Puddin' Creek, we're kind of disappointed in you buying that Chinese junk. Why didn't you go down to Sears and buy a good American-made one? Well, I would have loved to have done that. The only problem is I don't think Sears carries these Borescopes. Oh, and there's another problem. I don't think Sears is even in business anymore. I do want to tell you guys, this is no promo or they sent it to me for free or they gave me a discount on it. We're not sponsored by anybody. I paid for this thing with my own hard-earned money, folding money. Now, just between me and you guys, this was actually the $100 I was saving to buy the little woman a new set of coveralls to wear while she's working in the shop. But she don't need to know everything. Now, when you guys get something new in, do you read the directions and learn how to use it before you do anything to it? Or do you just fire it up and see if you can figure it out yourself? I usually like to just fire it up, and then if I have to go back and read the directions, I kind of feel like I failed. Now, I'm thinking we can run this right in the spark plug hole of the Bad Coupe, and we can have a look around at that valve and see what kind of condition it is, see maybe what the problem is. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, come on, Puddin' Creek. You could have pulled the head off in 15 minutes and looked at the valve in real life. I know that, but I didn't really order that just for this one job. I ordered it for a multitude of jobs, but I just thought it was a good time to do it. Well, here we go. Let's give this thing a colonoscopy. Now, I know I'm not filming the screen very well, but the first things I noticed is it looks like there's pieces of gold or brass down in the piston. What in the world could that be? Well, good night, nurse. There's more of that gold substance. It looks like it's laying around the edge of the piston. Let's see if we can find the intake valve. Well, there's the valve, and sure enough, it's wedged open. And look what's got it wedged open. Another piece of that brass. There's a piece of brass that's stuck in between the valve and the valve seat that's holding the valve open. I mean, this is a real mystery. The only thing located above the intake valve that would have brass parts in it is a carburetor. But this is a bunch of brass parts. I mean, if the carburetor's missing this many pieces of brass, I don't see how it's even functioning. All right, that's enough playing around with the Chinese camera. Let's get this thing tore apart and let's find out what that brass or gold or whatever it is down inside that cylinder. This beats anything I've ever seen. I didn't bring my gold mining pan with me to work today. I had no idea we'd be panning for gold inside of a small block Chevy engine. Whoever back in the 1970s machined all these components for the accelerator linkage, they really did a nice job. I guess the same person bent up the accelerator rod, because that's bent up really nice also. Most of these parts on the accelerator linkage are chrome plated, and if you've watched the previous videos on this car, you know that back in the 1970s, John Lackner's dad worked at the Kirby vacuum cleaner factory, and he took a whole slew of parts for this car to work and had them chrome plated. Wow, now that is one dry bearing. I'm going to have to disassemble all this linkage eventually and lube the bearings up, and all the chrome will get repolished and the stainless will all be polished up. We're going to do this car in fine detail. We had another one of our viewers this week that asked how much it costs to subscribe to the Puddin Creek Rod Shop YouTube channel. Well, it don't cost anything. All you have to do to subscribe is click the subscribe button. Click our logo there. It'll take you right to it. And I do think you have to be signed in to your YouTube account before you can subscribe, but that doesn't cost anything either. We're not trying to get any money from you. Once you subscribe, you'll get a notification every time we post a new video, or the video will just pop up on your feed. That's about all it means to subscribe. There's nothing more or less to it than that. And if you get tired of looking at my ugly mug, or you get tired of hearing me ramble on about old cars, all you got to do is hit unsubscribe. It's no big deal. I'm trying to be super gentle pulling this distributor out. I don't want to scratch up the distributor, and I don't want to scratch up the chrome-plated tunnel ram intake, and I don't want to scratch up the polished aluminum firewall. I know all you old boys sitting around your man cave watching this video, you probably just said, looky there, old Puddin Creek's getting weak in his old age. He can't even pick up an aluminum tunnel ram. Well, that's not what the problem is. It's got silicone on the bottom of it, and the silicone's kind of got it glued or stuck to the engine block. I am old, but I'm as strong as a bear, but just a small bear. Well, there it is. It's awful clean inside. It's a shame the head's got to come off of it because it's got a gold tooth lodged in between the intake valve and the intake seat. Baby once told me I was good for nothing. You couldn't live on dreams and crystal balls. That was weird. I leaned over top of those carburetors to carry that tunnel ram, and I got a big whiff of that gasoline, and then I started hallucinating. I dreamed I was singing at the world-famous Down Home in Johnson City, Tennessee, on that famous stage where Tony Rice played and Doc Watson and Guy Clark. I mean, that was a weird dream. You guys be careful with that gasoline out there. That's bad stuff. I read every one of the comments that you guys leave for me. A popular subject in the comments seems to be my narration or my voice. Several of you have asked if my voice is AI generated or if it has special effects on it. And the answer to both of those are no. This is just my voice. The only thing I do to it is I do turn the volume up a little bit on the parts that I narrate. Other than that, it's just my voice. One guy commented that he watches our videos because of the cars, but his wife watches our videos because she finds my voice calming to her. And then on the opposite end of the scale, another guy left a comment and just said, "You talk too much." I had to double check that comment and make sure that wasn't a little woman leaving that one. While we've got these push rods in hand, let's take them over to the surface plate and let's roll them and make sure they're all nice and straight and none of them's bent. And we can check that off the list. The second most common comment that we get is some variation of this. "Your show reminds me of the Dukes of Hazzard," or "Your show reminds me of the narrator from the Dukes of Hazzard," or "You sound like the guy that used to talk on the Dukes of Hazzard," or "You sound like the Dukes of Hazzard narrator." Well, that would be Waylon Jennings, and that would be a super high compliment for me. So I took all those comments to the little woman and said, "They all think I sound like Waylon Jennings." I said, "Do you think I sound like Waylon Jennings?" And the little woman said, "Not at all." But the number one comment that we get, the comment that we get over and over and over just about every video, the comment is, "You sound like Forest Gump." We get that one or some variation of it over and over and over. "Hey Gump, thanks for the hot rod tips. Forrest Gump has his own hot rod show." Over and over and over, the Gump comments never stop. So what do you guys think? You guys think I sound like Forrest Gump? I'll leave you with my favorite comment of all time since we've been doing the YouTube channel, and then we won't talk any more about comments for a while. But this one was really cool. I got a good kick out of this one. I really like this one. Well, there we are. There's a whole pile of that mysterious brass. Now, where in the world did that come from? If you remember, I drained the oil in this car and strained it through a white t-shirt, and it was perfectly clean. There was nothing in the oil. Besides, this is all way too high to be bearing material. This is in the combustion chamber. Now, the only thing above the intake valve is the manifold. That's aluminum. That's not brass. And then the carburetor, and the carburetor's mostly aluminum, and I know it does have some brass parts in it, but we're talking about jets and emulsion tubes and needles and that kind of thing, not anything that looks like this. Now, I don't know if you guys can see this on the camera, but right in front of this silver pencil, that's the piece of brass that's lodged in between the valve and the valve seat. That's the actual piece that's causing us not to have any compression. All right, let's walk back over to the car and let's check out the piston and see what that looks like. See if there's more of that brass down in there. Good googly moogly, there's gold in them there heels. The other thing I noticed is that piston has no carbon buildup on it. All the other pistons have carbon buildup, and that one looks as clean as it probably did the day it was put in. So that piston has not been firing all along, I would have to assume. Now, there's some coolant down in those cylinders, but that just happened when I pulled the head off. That just ran down in there. I don't think we have any coolant in the oil problem because I drained all the oil and there was none in it. Now, it's about this point in the video where you're probably saying, hey, I don't think that's a valve spring compressor. And my response to you is going to be, what's with the questions? Mind your business. Well, there's the culprit, but we've got to pull that carburetor off and see if somehow or another all this brass is coming out of that carburetor. I just don't see it, though. I wanted to take all this throttle linkage apart anyway. I want to disassemble it into the individual pieces and use that quick glow to get rid of the rust on it and polish it all back up and lube all the bearings. And I want to do everything in detail on this whole car. Well, I inspected the carburetor pretty thoroughly, and I don't see any signs of any missing brass. All the brass that's in the carburetor is right where it's supposed to be. So let's take a little closer look at this in the cylinder here. That's almost 3/16 of an inch wide. I mean, that's a pretty good hunk of brass just to be mysteriously floating around in the combustion chamber. All right, I got all the brass cleaned out of everything. I got the valve put back together. I've put the head back on the block here. Now let's zip these bolts down and then torque them just for a quickie check, just to see if this solves the compression problem. I don't plan on running it like this. Obviously, I would get a new head gasket and new valve seals and do a lot of work. This is just a quickie test just to see if that was the problem. Well, I know what you're thinking. You got the compression problem fixed. Now slap that big tunnel ram back on there and them 2 4-barrels, fire up the Bad Coupe, and let's all go to Dairy Queen and get a banana split. Well, we ain't that far along yet. We got a few loose ends we still got to tie up. Come on with me and I'll show you. Now, if you remember at the start of this whole deal, we took the transmission out of the car because the clutch was completely froze up and it was kind of rusted and stuck to the flywheel. Nothing would move. Well, right here's the transmission. I haven't even had time to take it apart and look in it, but there it lays. Now, if we ease on back toward the car here, check out these motor mounts. I guess these are from the 70s, and they've got them stacked up like cat head biscuits, but the rubber's all dry rotted and shot, so those are going to have to be replaced. So at some point, the engine's going to have to come out of the car. I have no choice on that. Also, this cool old chrome steering box, it's going to need to be rebuilt. And as you can see, it's in there pretty tight. Sure would be a lot easier to take it out if the engine wasn't in there. And the master cylinder, it's going to have to be rebuilt or replaced. We'll try to rebuild. It's the plan. I guess you can kind of see where I'm going with this whole scenario. That engine, there's not much left holding it in as it is. Also, you'll remember the engine was sitting at such an extreme angle that the distributor was all the way against the firewall, and you could not set the timing at all. But when you jack the engine up and level it out a little bit, then this bolt right here hits the bottom of the aluminum firewall. So I'm going to have to, at some point, open that up a little bit, and I need the engine out of the way for that. As you can see here, just the lower radiator hose and the headers and 2 engine mount bolts are really all that holds this engine in place. That's pretty much all that's left, and I could pull the engine out and get it out of the way. So I'm thinking that's my next course of action. Pull this grill shell off and the radiator, pull the engine out of the way, and that way I can get inside the engine compartment there and I can really get serious about polishing that firewall up and all the chrome and polishing the motor mounts and cleaning the frame rails good. I mean, we want to do a top-notch job on bringing this car back to life. that's our show, friends and neighbors. We hope you enjoyed it. We appreciate you coming back every Monday to watch. Leave us a comment if you enjoyed the show. And as always, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already.